What's up, my beard bros? Maine-iac here with the top 5 NBA free agency wishes. Now, why would I do a video like that? Well, it's my birthday, so I kind of wanted to do 5 players in 2 destinations where I'd like to see them go for various reasons. We're going to start with the top 2 and being Vucevic and Rubio. Maybe not the top 2 free agents, but 2 players I would love to at least watch in their new towns. With Vucevic, I'll start with him. 2 places I want him to go are the LA Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. The reasoning for the Lakers is I would like to see him pair with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. His rebounding capabilities and offensive scoring capabilities, I think, would alleviate some of the minutes that Anthony Davis would have to play, not having someone like Vucevic on the team, and relieve some of the pressure, at least from play to play. With Anthony Davis, keeping him fresh throughout the season would be key for the Lakers. Only issue with this scenario is what salary would he have to be looking at to join the Lakers team with LeBron James. But also very underrated shooter on the offensive board and facilitator Nikola is, so I think it would pair well with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but that is solely reliant on them getting a decent point guard as well, because without a decent point guard, I don't think they really have the drive to get Nikola. I think point guard is going to be the priority for the Lakers, so hopefully that all works out. And it would be fun to see him get more of a national media spotlight attention with the Lakers since he's been swamped in Orlando, I believe, since the start of his career. And then the second team being the Golden State Warriors. One reason is I believe DeMarcus Cousins is leaving the Golden State Warriors. With the Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson injury situation, I'm not sure if Golden State will re-sign them, and if they do, I'm not sure if they'll have a lot of money left over, and that's the big issue with Nikola going to them. But if he takes kind of like a 1-2 year small money, prove it deal, sign a big contract after, that could work out. It kind of benefited DeMarcus Cousins. He did look solid when he played. It could do the same for Nikola, especially when Nikola's been pretty damn durable throughout his career. I think he fits well with both teams. He's a decent facilitator. I think he would work well on the pick and roll with Steph Curry. His three-point shooting has improved, and I think honestly he's a very underrated free agent this season. Secondly, you have Ricky Rubio, point guard of the Jazz, who I believe recently traded for Mike Conley of the Grizzlies, so he's on his way out. Rubio is. 2 places I want to see him go are the Indiana Pacers with Victor Oladipo, because Victor Oladipo improved dramatically in the last couple years before he got hurt. Having a facilitator like Ricky Rubio would relieve at least some of the pressure, I think, on Victor Oladipo. The only problem with that is if Ricky Rubio was asking for a huge contract, that would kind of take out some of the fill they need to have for the rest of the roster in Indiana. And they might have other priorities considering they need to think of which free agents they need to sign back to their own team first. So that could be interesting. Second team for him I want is the Boston Celtics. Now, not saying it as a Celtics fan, I'm just saying it as a logistical basketball fan, with Kyrie Irving most likely out the door and what looks like to be Marcus Smart as the starting point guard, unless Rozier gets re-signed and they want him to be the starting point guard, which to me would make no sense. I like the Ricky Rubio option. Now, I'm not saying Ricky Rubio starting for the Celtics, it would mean Marcus Smart wouldn't be able to play a lot because he'd be relegated to the bench. I like the idea of a 3-man rotation between Brown, Smart, and Rubio. I think all 3 combos, whether it be Rubio Smart, Rubio Brown, or Smart Brown, I believe they offer their own different play style, own different situations. I think they work out really well. Plus him facilitating to someone like Jason Tatum, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Gordon Hayward, I think it opens up the shot. He is a relatively solid passer. He can score as well. But one thing I love about Ricky Rubio and why I think he fits for the Celtics is he doesn't demand the ball every possession. And that's the kind of player they need. Will he probably ask too much to kind of take him out of the Celtics market? Possibly. But I think that would be a really good fit as well. And thirdly, I'm going to go to the next 2 players as well, just so you can get an idea of where I'm going. I am going with the Hornets. And boom, Kemba Walker. And then someone I honestly didn't think I would be talking about moving other places, but I am going to go Tobias Harris of what was the 76ers for a short time. Now, with Kemba Walker, um, he's been kind of mired in a bad situation in Charlotte. They haven't really competed much, and when he's been there, he's been fighting it. He's facing a huge contract, which could be the major issue here. But he's a very desirable player. Honestly, I think he goes back to the Hornets. That's my opinion. But there are a few teams I believe that could really use him, or maybe they don't want him, but I would like to see him play for. And the first one being the New York Knicks. Now, is that an odd choice? Yes. Does Kemba really fit the New York Knicks theme? No, I don't think so. But what I like about Kemba to the Knicks is the Knicks really heavily pursued Kyrie Irving, and it looks like he's going to Brooklyn. And one reason why I like Kemba on the Knicks is his scoring potential, especially his leadership potential. I think that's a very underrated aspect of his game, is the way he can score and the way he can lead. I think would really help out that young core of the New York Knicks, especially where they just, I believe, drafted, what was his name, R.J. Barrett. I think he'd be a good leadership role for him too. And in just a few years, maybe the Knicks sign Kevin Durant in hopes of next year, something like that. And boom, 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 you get it, you got it. And then next year you have that young core with Kemba Walker and Kevin Durant. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how that would work, especially him moving from a place like Charlotte to New York. It would be very interesting. Now, another place I would like to see him go, and I don't know if this would work just because of salary-related issues, would be the Philadelphia 76ers. And one reason being is, if I don't say this obvious, and it probably sounds stupid, but Ben Simmons is playing the point guard, it would be Kemba as a facilitator is much more dangerous than Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a great passer, but when he's on the three-point line, you know he's not shooting the ball, which I love about Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker would kind of fill the role of J.J. Redick in a sense, but I believe Kemba would play point guard. You can move Simmons to the 2, and I think it would still work really well. Kemba's not a bad defensive player, but he is a shooter, and that's something the Sixers would need. Especially when you don't know the futures of Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, J.J. Redick. I think adding Kemba Walker to a Ben Simmons, passing to Joel Embiid, stuff like that, would benefit that team really well, especially when you have to go up in the East, or possibly if you make it to the finals of the West against point guards like Lowry, Steph Curry, Ricky Rubio, stuff like that. You need a solid point guard, especially one that can shoot the ball, and I think Kemba provides that. Even if you have to move Kemba to the 2, I think he would still do really well on the Philadelphia 76ers. Speaking of the 76ers, my 4th overall player, it's not Jimmy Butler, because fuck Jimmy Butler. Not that I don't like Jimmy Butler, but I don't like Jimmy Butler. It's just his attitude. He's a great player, but still, I don't like his attitude. We got Tobias Harris, somebody I started following actually, not this year, but the year before, last year. And I kind of got into following him more this year when he was on the Clippers, and he did really well, and then he got traded to the 76ers. And I kind of fell off watching him a little bit because in that system he kind of seemed more like the 4th option, and I kind of felt bad for him. But 2 places he could really go, because he is a decent defender, he is a really good shooter, and he's capable of putting up big numbers in the right system. 2 places I could see him going, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head whether I want to list, because I do have like 5-6 teams. I'm trying to narrow it down to 2 in my head right off the bat, because this is not scripted. I never script my shit, even though I probably should. 2 teams I would like to see him go to. I would like to see him on the I'm trying to think if logistically it would work out seeing him on the Oklahoma City Thunder, because that's the team that came to mind, especially with the likes of them possibly trading Steven Adams, but salary-wise, I don't think that works out at all. I don't think that works out at all. Now I'm gonna say this as I think, but like I said, he's a good shooter. He can facilitate the ball. He can board, maybe not board as well as everyone, but I think he's still a pretty solid fit. Two teams I could really see him going to, and okay, I got two teams in mind. Definitely the two teams in mind are the Detroit Pistons, which salary-wise, I don't think it works out, but seeing him combined with the likes of Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, relieving some of that offensive pressure on those two, especially what you saw in the playoffs. The Pistons did not do reliably well. So adding a player like a Tobias Harris to play the three, it adds length, which against teams like a Kawhi Leonard or like a Joel Embiid does kind of help, especially it takes some of the pressure off of Andre Drummond. I think it would be an interesting fit, and honestly, I think that would push Detroit to maybe perform over 500 for the first time in a long time consistently throughout the year. Now, what I mean by that is throughout the year they had spurts where they were above 500, but they kind of like dipped down, up and down. I think having Tobias Harris would even them out a little bit. Another team I kind of want to see Tobias Harris go to is the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, I'm going to put the Pelicans up on the board so we can get a look at their roster. Julius Randle, I believe, is either a free agent or a restricted free agent, so it's different. Peyton's a free agent, so your starting lineup looks basically like Drew Holiday and Zion Williamson. You don't have a lot there. You need some offensive presence. I want Tobias Harris to go to the New Orleans Pelicans. Will it lift him out of the basement? Not necessarily. They have a lot of good young players there, especially with Zion. They drafted a few good young players. I believe Tobias Harris would be a great mentor there. Help Zion with his shot, help other players with his shot. And I think, honestly, in that lineup, he would be possibly the number one scoring option. Drew Holiday is amazing defensively. He's improving offensively, but having a presence like Tobias Harris on the Pelicans would at least make them, I think, more competitive. Which it's kind of sad because last year they did finish 33 and 49, but they were surprisingly a better plus-minus differential than the Lakers, who went 37 and 45. So having someone like Tobias Harris there to shoot would make them, I think, and I know I say that the different keywords a lot, but I think it's a good fit. Will it happen? 99% chance it's not going to happen. And for the last and fifth player, since we covered Tobias Harris, Nikola Vucevic, Ricky Rubio, and Kemba Walker, we're going... Should we go point guard? Nah, I don't think we should go point guard. If we went point guard again, that would be weird. Should we go big star? Nah, that would be weird as well. Should we go someone who's going to be overpaid? Nah, I don't want to see someone who's going to be overpaid. And yes, I'm actually on a list of free agents right now, and I want the fifth one to be special. Why do I want the fifth one to be special? It's because there's a lot of players overlooked in the NBA. A lot of players that do not get talked about. A lot of players that could contribute to championship caliber teams, but don't get the attention they honestly deserved. Now, I'm looking down here, and I see names like Jared Dudley, Thabo Cephalosha, who they don't really fit the bill so much for me. Maybe Justin Holiday. Lance Stevenson is one name that could pop up a lot. Pau Gasol. There's a lot of players here that I believe could contribute to teams, especially in different roles. Now, this is off the top of my head, so I'm just scrolling, and I'm looking at guys, and I'm thinking, could he contribute? And I found who I want. It's funny because in my franchise on this game. What? I thought I heard a voice. for my franchise on this game. This guy's on my Baltimore Crabs team, and it's more of a bench role player, but I believe that's incredibly important at sometimes as well. His name is Salah Mejri, an unrestricted free agent center of the Dallas Mavericks. 7'1". He provides length. He provides solid bench minutes, which is the key here. Bench minutes. He averaged 3.9 points per game and 3.6 rebounds per game. Now, what I mean by that is he's a consistent effort. Two teams I could see him going to, and these aren't the two teams I want him to go to, is the Boston Celtics. He would provide solid depth at the center position, wouldn't be a starter. Could be asked to be the starter, but his contract's not huge, so he could go to many teams and contribute as well. He could definitely go to the Los Angeles Lakers and provide some depth there too. But two teams I would like to see him go to, and I'm going to mention this a lot, possibly. And there's going to be a couple of repeats here. Who needs a big center, and who needs more so depth than anything? One option I see here is possibly the Utah Jazz. Now, why would they want him overall? Rudy Gobert, amazing center. But when he's not on the court, does that defense pack the same punch? Not necessarily. I like Mejri fitting the Utah Jazz here, especially with the salaries they're going to be demanding between Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and Conley. I think Mejri would be a solid backup center option. Not a huge contract, which really helps the team, and I think he could provide some solid rebounding when Gobert's not on the court. Or even if you want to play super lengthy and have two 7-footers on the court at the same time, which I doubt it, but still, he's a good backup to Rudy Gobert, and I think he fits that team quite well. Another team I kind of want him to go to just for the sense to where I think he could help them. They are a contending team, but they don't contend too necessarily often. Consistently is the Portland Trailblazers. With Nurkic, we saw what happened last year when he went down. The Trailblazers just didn't look the same. Cantor filled in as well as he could have, but he still wasn't enough. So I think signing Mejri there provides some offensive presence in the sense that where he can get you a couple putbacks and possibly get some more minutes for him. And yeah, he's kind of on the older end, especially when he hasn't played that long. But still, solid presence there. Al-Farouq Aminu might be leaving the Portland Trailblazers, and it's a small contract, which I think would help the Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum core, because adding another solid rebounder is never a bad thing. Adding a veteran who can give you bench minutes and not be a liability defensively, at least in the paint, is also a good thing. Is he the best fit for the Trailblazers? No, but I would really like to see someone who can go in there, help Nurkic out, help Damian Lillard out and stuff like that. Maybe give him 8-9 minutes a game, stuff like that. He wouldn't demand a really high salary either, and I think it's an interesting player. Overall, I know this list, the top 4 were probably like popular picks for players that people might want to go places, but that 5th one, it means something to me, because in the NBA, if you're not a star player, you're often overlooked, and a bench player like Mejri could contribute to a championship team if he got the chance. He could remind me of someone like, say on the Warriors, like a Zaza Pachulia kind of type player, or like a JaVale McGee on the Lakers kind of player, but less minutes. That kind of player. I like him. I like all these 5 players. There's other players as well, like a Kyrie Irving, but he can go fuck himself. Elfrid Payton, he can go. I'm just kidding. Elfrid Payton, he looks good with his new haircut. One thing I want to ask for though, in the comment section down below, give me one player and one destination where you want him to go, and another destination where you think he would best fit. It can be the same team. Not necessarily the same team, but it can be. So let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy my birthday. Peace.